Friends, in today's video, we will tell you what white privilege exactly means in Pakistan and how tourists are treated in this country.
From police harassment to local people's attitude towards strangers. All of this in today's story. But first, let's talk about how two tourists like us ended up here in Pakistan.
We are Joe and Liisu, and put together we have over 10 years of experience traveling the world. You can even say that adventuring to the far corners of the world is our full-time job.
Currently, we are on a mission to drive our van Freyja, our van Freyja from Europe to Japan. And thanks to this seemingly impossible task, we just had an incredible opportunity to spend a little bit more than a month discovering Pakistan. We had no tours, didn't use local guides, and saw the country just as it is.
Without the filter, basically.
Yeah, and so let's dive right into today's video and talk about the topic that came as a huge surprise to us. At this point, Pakistan is still quite a little-known destination for many international travelers. Think of it yourself. How many people can you name who have visited this country? But surprisingly, this creates quite an intriguing situation for those who do travel here. It did not matter if we were in small villages or huge cities. Whenever we walked on the street and stopped, we had a superpower of creating a crowd. I'm quite certain that the most common phrase that we heard was,
"Can I take a picture with you?"
Sure. We must have taken thousands of pictures with the locals. And to this day, I think that it's one of the most unique travel experiences we have ever been a part of. Just hanging out on a street in Pakistan can make you feel like you are a superstar. And before pursuing a career in acting, I think you should visit this country to actually know what fame feels like.
Give me one photo, please.
But I have to add that it was always done in a positive and polite manner. For many locals, foreign tourists are still a very unusual and interesting sight to see. And so the first thing every Caucasian visitor should be ready for is a huge amount of positive curiosity. It can truly be a lovely thing if used correctly, because in such way you can meet locals, learn about their culture and make new friends in a totally foreign country.
Welcome to Pakistan!
Yet being visibly different also creates difficulties. And before jumping to the second point, I need to clarify something. You have probably noticed that already a few times in this video I have emphasized the terms white or Caucasian. And why am I doing this? Is because it actually does affect the overall travel experience.
Joe is trying to fly the drone and there's quite a big crowd has gathered around us.
During our time in this country, we also met Mo, a traveler from Ireland. But by his looks, Mo could be mistaken for a local. And so his whole experience has been quite different. He receives much less attention on the streets, but also shopping and visiting local sites was a fair bit cheaper to him, which now brings us to the next point. I do have to say that this only happened in a more touristic places. For example, when we visited the beautiful mountains in the north, we decided to glide across one of the valleys on a zip line. And although we were told one price by the instructor, then later on when it was time to pay, at the moment one guy told us one price, the other guy told us other price. The difference was 2 times. It's quite big difference. And I guess that's part of the white privilege in Pakistan as well. Or also in a pharmacy and restaurant in the center of Islamabad, where we were asked times higher price than what we saw on the receipt. After confronting the people who charged us more money, they simply apologized and gave us back the change. But as I said, this only happened a few times through our stay, and mostly in very touristic places. So getting ripped off was quite a rare thing in this country. But like every other place we have seen in our years of traveling, there will be people who try to scam tourists. Yet when we went a bit further away from touristic sites, then the whole mentality shifted. And so, as the third topic, I would like to tell you about the true nature of Pakistani locals. From the moment we entered this country, we felt like honored guests. While driving to the western region called Balochistan, we had to have police escort, and every time officers stopped, we would have a cup of tea with the locals. Once the policemen even shared their lunch with us.
I think it's like sheep stomach.
Yes, the taste might have been a little bit unusual for us, but it was still a beautiful gesture.
I'm still grateful that they thought about us.
But this kindness did not end there. When we visited the northern parts of Pakistan, we met Mubarak Shah. He invited us in his restaurant, fed us many meals, and by the end of the day, he refused our payment, insisting that guests and friends don't have to pay here. We had just met him, but felt truly welcome.
Just a beautiful feeling being hosted by Pakistani people. They're so kind, so welcoming.
And same thing happened with Salim, who opened his home and heart to two foreigners who he barely knew. It felt amazing to learn about Pakistani culture firsthand from the locals. Yet what surprised us even more was that this kindness and hospitality was also present in bigger cities. And a good example of it is that when you go out to eat with Pakistani people, then you will not be able to pay, even if you really want to. Trust me, I have tried. But when I tried to sneak away from the table, the waiter simply said that by the orders of our host, my money has no value here. It really feels amazing to be so welcomed and taken care of in a foreign country so far from home. And such hospitality is almost like a rule here. For example, our friend Larus, who travels this part of the world on a bicycle, told us how on few different occasions he has been given a free hotel room. And a similar thing also happened to us. After spending few days in an Airbnb, our host Ahsan offered us to stay extra 3 days for free. You heard correctly. A Airbnb host told us that we can stay more for free. Yes, we declined, but it felt absolutely amazing to know that there is still a country where both businessmen and farmers go out of their way to make visitors feel so welcomed. Why is it like this? I truly don't know. But if you do, make sure to leave a comment below. Yet, before we can finish this video, there is still one big elephant in the room. Because, as I said in the beginning, thanks to our appearance, we have also been harassed by local police.
Unless you arrest me. But then you got no right to take me away from here.
To understand this topic a bit better, you should know that Pakistan hasn't always been considered a safe country for visitors. And over the last decades, there has been hundreds of smaller and bigger terrorist attacks. Yet to combat this situation, the country has come up with quite a weird solution. In certain areas, tourists can only move with police escort and only stay in police stations, sleeping next to prisoners.
Just behind me are prisoners. Their cells are looking into our van. So that's kinda unusual.
One of such areas is Balochistan, in which we were escorted for 7 days and nights. And honestly, it was okay, as the escorts and police authority in this region is regulated. Every visitor who passes through needs to obtain a special permit. It felt legit and everything was well organized. But things got uncomfortable when we left Balochistan region.
Trying to tell them, Balochistan only, no more.
Legally, the police had no authority to force us to sleep in their stations.
It's been 7 days and nobody tells us when it's gonna stop. We're gonna get no information.
But depending on the regional police chief, many of them still did.
This view down there, not bad for a prison, but still a prison.
Of course, when we asked our friend Mo about it, police never bothered him. But since we looked different, it was quite rough.
I've had so much of this. Like,
I would describe it as a constant fear-mongering, and many of them try to tell us that Pakistan is a truly dangerous place to be, and we should only stay together with them. When we asked them about the dangers, they gave us horrible excuses.
last night the police tried to tell us that this mountain will fall on our heads if we stay here.
And of course, it's one of the worst feelings to be waken up in the middle of the night and be told that the local hotel we were parked at is not up to the police standard, and that they wish to take us to a fancy hotel, which some locals later on told us give them commission to bring tourists there. I do understand that their orders are to keep tourists safe and help Pakistan gain a reputation of being a safe country amongst travelers. But sadly, in our experience, they did the polar opposite. It just didn't feel right that instead of the criminals, innocent tourists were kept behind bars. And by the end of our time in a country, we got quite anxious every time we saw police officers, fearing that they would force us to leave our local friends behind and lock us up in the name of Pakistan's reputation. But anyway, now looking back on our experience with the local law enforcement, it was actually the only negative aspect about visiting Pakistan. Most of the time, we felt like VIPs. People would literally ask us to skip lines in restaurants and even car mechanic workshops. At times, it even felt weird to be treated so well simply because we looked different. But I guess it is just the beauty of this country. Hospitality is rooted deep in their culture and religion. And for us, two travelers, it gave Pakistan a very special place in our hearts, because it doesn't happen often that we feel so welcomed in a country so far away from home. Friends, this was our video of how Pakistani people treat guests in their country, and I hope you enjoyed the journey. Next time, we will take you along to one of the weirdest border crossings in the world and show you how India uses their greatest weapon against Pakistan every night. Until then, make sure to check out our latest videos to see the complete adventure in Pakistan, and we will see you next Thursday in a little bit less than a week. Take care and bye.